the indefatigable Honorable Semuju Ngambra, the chairperson organizing the committee of this delegates conference, who has pitched the camp here at Katonga for the last 1 month, fixing nuts and bolts to ensure that this delegates conference is a success. He deserves a hand clap. Mama Right Honorable Betty Ahor, I hope I have pronounced it well. And all our Katonga-based MPs, we thank you for leading from the front. Of course, not forgetting the team at the Secretariat, led by our Secretary General Harold Kaija, Right Honorable Wafula Ogut, Man of God Muzei Wycliffe Bakandonda, women leaders, youth leaders, among us others. Allow me also mention the team that worked with the Honorable Semuju, his deputy Honorable Muijushe, and her worship Dorini Nyanjula, who mobilized all the funds for this particular delegates conference from all of you who made the contributions. To the rank and file, you Kalam Buru members across the entire country, I can't thank you enough. The debilitating and harsh economic environment imposed on you by the junta notwithstanding, you stood firm and resisted all sorts of manipulations, intimidation, cajoling, and freebies, or groceries, and all sorts of allurements, including some drinks, dangled at you, dear delegates and all members. I will eternally be grateful for that gesture. May I say, the journey has been a tough one, but also quite eventful and memorable. Your unwavering support, resilience, steadfastness, and sacrifices have been a lifeline and source of impetus for my leadership. The FDC journey at a glance. The date of 7th August 2004 will remain in the annals of this country as a memorable day when a group of patriotic Ugandans, hitherto under the rubrics of 3 formations, to wit, the Reform Agenda, Parliamentary Advocacy Forum Quality PAFO, and National Democratic Forum, convened at Bonita Gardens in Ruboa and made a landmark decision that fundamentally changed the political landscape of this country for a period of close to 2 decades now. A strong code or bond was struck amongst themselves, personal interests shelved, and as well as also ambitions shelved, and unanimously agreed to midwife a single entity, the beloved FDC. This nascent institution that would later become a formidable force to reckon with formally entered the record of political formations recognized under the law on the 16th day of December 2004. The core mission of the founding of this party is duly stated in Article 6 of the FDC Constitution thus: the goal of the party shall be the establishment of a truly united and peaceful Uganda, and the empowerment of the people of Uganda to achieve a better quality of life for all Ugandans. Against the background of political instability, a near moribund state structure, and a decayed societal fabric, amongst other considerations, the progenitors of the FDC agreed on a laudable motto enshrined in Article 5 of our Constitution: one Uganda, one people, one Uganda. Over the years, this mighty institution has grown leaps and bounds and evinced national character with a strong membership from the entire country. You have also demonstrated it here. The entire country is gathered at Katonga today, and today is the day for Ugandans to assemble and make a proclamation for the journey ahead. It is worth noting that for the last 2 decades, the FDC has served as a study platform for the liberation struggle and a vanguard of democratic governance, civil liberties, and social justice. Using the strategy of defiance envisaged under Article 3 of the National Constitution, the FDC, as the nerve center for a wide spectrum of the democracy-seeking forces, has championed the protracted struggle for rule of law and constitutionalism, and the milestones achieved are well documented. It is truism to state that FDC brand has always been synonymous with robust internal democracy, which has been a prototype or template for different organizations within and outside Uganda. Much as the founding president was in exile, at the time of the formation of FDC, the delegates who assembled at the first convention unanimously returned him as the first party president. The subsequent 3 hotly contested elections, say presidential elections, returned Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye, General Mugisha Muntu, and Honorable Patrick Oboyi Amuriat as duly elected presidents in a free and fair exercise hitherto unprecedented in our country. However, you all bear testimony with a great concern that the leadership of Honorable Patrick Oboyi Amuriat capitulated to the devious maneuvers and overtures that the party had resiliently and valiantly resisted for several years, thereby veering off the party constitutional path, particularly the party vision, mission, and values enshrined in Article 6 and 8 of the Constitution. Will make a reference to that. And that is a serious indictment. It's a very serious one, which we cannot give space or tolerate. Those idiosyncratic of the world developments compelled the delegates who assembled at an extra national delegates conference that convened at this very place on the 19th of September 2023 to suspend the then party president, Engineer Patrick Oboyi Amuriat, the then Secretary General Honorable Nandala Mafari, and the Treasurer General Honorable Geoffrey Kanya. The delegates further resolved that during the suspension, the Deputy President of Uganda, Honorable Elias Lukwago, you can say his worship, should serve as the interim president, while Honorable Francis Mwijushe, who was deputy to Honorable Geoffrey Kanya, and Honorable Kaija, who deputized Honorable Nandala Mafam, performed the duties of Treasurer General and Secretary General, respectively. Save for the members who were suspended, the tenure of other naked members was extended for a period of 6 months from the 8th of October 2023, when the tenure was set to elapse. The Toterebuka Bamwende Electoral Commission was also disbanded, and an interim electoral commission was constituted with the mandate to organize free, fair, and transparent and credible internal elections. This commission comprised of Honorable Michael Karasburuka as the Chief Electoral Commissioner and the 3 other members, to which Honorable Jaka Wamayi Wamanga, Dr. Elizabeth Tualaye, and Mr. Bone Ogongson. The interim leadership was also tasked to set up a disciplinary committee to expeditiously investigate the suspended leaders, and further instructed us to challenge in courts of law the October 6th sham illegal delegates conference that was organized by Nadia Nankumbi. A progress report on the implementation of the aforesaid resolutions was duly presented to the National Council sitting that convened at this very place on the 21st day of February this year. A synopsis of the progress report presented to the National Council of 21st February 2024 and the resolutions thereof, because that's what gives the flesh to this particular delegates conference. The genesis: disciplinary action and litigation. Upon assuming office, we immediately extracted the aforesaid resolutions of the Delegates Conference and submitted the same to the Electoral Commission as required under the law, with the demand that the record should capture the true position of the party. Unfortunately, up to now, the Commission has not responded to our communication. Take note of that. The same resolutions were forwarded to the banks, but still no positive response yet. The imposters continue to receive statutory funds from the Electoral Commission and spend the same illegally with reckless abandon. Our efforts to pursue the disciplinary committee, or rather the disciplinary process, have been thwarted by a number of impediments which are logistical and structural in nature. The foregoing notwithstanding, the position remains that those masqueraders are still under suspension, no matter the posturing and grandstanding. I'm glad to report to you that all bona fide and well-intentioned members countrywide and in diaspora branches have roundly rejected them, and they are left with no iota of credibility. On the issue of litigation, members, you are aware that the party had been embroiled in a legal conundrum for some good time. In the run-up to the 19th September 2023 Extraordinary Delegates Conference, the imposters had engineered machinations to fraudulently secure a court order from the High Court Division, presided over by Lady Justice Esther Nambayo, to upstage or forestall the said conference, but all in vain. The purported ex parte order, earlier secured by collusion on 15th September 2023, was never extended nor served on Ambassador Birigwa, the national chairman, and it lapsed on 18th September 2023 on the eve of our delegates conference. Therefore, our delegates conference was lawfully convened, and the resolutions thereof were binding and have never been set aside in any courts of law. The reason I'm standing before you as your bona fide and legitimate party president. We also proceeded to file a civil suit in the High Court number 387 of 2023, Ambassador Waswabirigwa and 27 others, versus Boniface Dr. Bamwenda, challenging the processes that were being undertaken to hold the aforesaid legal delegates conference at Partida Samaj, Lukwago, on the 16th of October 2023 under the aegis of Dr. Bamwenda Commission. We specifically sought for a permanent injunction restraining the imposters, their agents, servants, or employees acting under them. 1. From holding the office of the Chief Electoral Commissioner, FDC, without the express mandate of the National Delegates Conference. You know, for record, he has never been elected by a Delegates Conference. Holding and or presiding over the internal elections for the leadership of the structures of FDC. And lastly, convening the National Delegates Conference that was slated for 6 October to elect members of NEC. Distinguished members of the National Delegates Conference, the aforesaid suit is still subsisting. It had been allocated to Justice Musa Sekana, but we requested the matter to be reallocated to another judge. In that suit, we had filed an interlocutor application seeking for a temporary injunction to stop the Partida Samuji purported Delegates Conference of October 6th. Unfortunately, in his midnight ruling on the eve of the purported Delegates Conference, Justice Sekana declined to grant it, giving spurious reasons that it had been brought in bad faith. And indeed, it's the ruling which was in bad faith. The fortunate bit of it is that the decision of Justice Sekana did not clothe their impaned Delegates Conference with legality or legitimacy. However, the main suit has not been conclusively heard or disposed of. I wish also to report that we registered a major victory in the Buganda Road Court case that had been instituted by the Najana Nkumbi Quislings through a proxy, a one Jamalu Wante, challenging the legality of our national chairman, via criminal case number Buganda Road 1688 of 2024. The court roundly threw out the case on Thursday last week, the 15th of August, thereby cementing the authority and legitimacy of Ambassador Waswa Birigwa as the undisputed and the unbogable party chairman. He is unblockable. You remember how he jumped over the fence to escape from those masqueraders. Internal elections and the party structures. The delegates conference set up an interim electoral commission chaired by Michael Karasguruka to organize transparent, free and fair election of the party. However, we suffered some setback in that the commission chairperson got health challenges that rendered him unable to effectively execute his mandate. That notwithstanding, we managed to proceed with the task, and where we stand today, structures have been built at villages, parishes, sub-counties, constituencies, and district levels across the entire country. Clap for yourself. Thank you. We must commend you for the commitment, zeal, and passion for your active participation and involvement in this exercise, which has been largely successful despite the limited resources and other impediments. At that time when we presented the report to National Council, we had built structures up to the district, and it was 80%. Now we stand at 100%. A big achievement. Number 3.2, collaboration with other forces of change. In addition to the aforesaid resolutions, NEC had to take an additional assignment as anchored in the FD Strategic Plan 2022-2027, the one which is running, of enhancing collaboration with other forces of change. We launched this at Najanankumbi before the junta, the masqueraders took off. In our strategic plan, we agreed to continue with our strategy of defiance and non-violent struggle. In advancement of the said strategy, we had to jointly work with other forces of change, and we have had a series of engagements, meetings, public appearances, and a number of activities. I am pleased to inform you that we have cemented the bond with the different formations, and on 16th January 2024, we hosted here at Katonga a joint press conference to pass on the New Year message that would give direction to Ugandans on how to regain their sovereignty. The press conference was addressed by our patriarch, Dr. Chiza Besigye, local President Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, Honorable Winnie Chiza, on behalf of Auntie, Dr. Lurume Bayega of Progressive DP, Council Peter Warubiri of Progressive UPC, PPP President HT Saddam Gaida, among others. Those particular leaders made a personal call to all Ugandans to rise up and challenge the junta through demonstrations and political activism. We had lined up a series of joint activities countrywide, starting with the Kampala leader and Igam. For Kampala, we had an activity to awaken the people of Kampala about the deplorable state of infrastructure. The Kampala activity coincided with the NAM and G7 plus China conference that was used as an excuse by the junta to employ its brutal arm to thwart all our efforts. Some of us were detained and put under house arrest for a full week. Colonel Dr. Chiza Besigye, myself, and the Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi. That notwithstanding, we remain committed to a joint platform to push back and regain control of our country. Now, proposals and resolutions on the way forward at that particular meeting. NEC recognized the fact that the party was engrossed in a rather intricate and labyrinthine debate about the trajectory of the party and the struggle, and it deemed it prudent and imperative to present the various permutations as they were suggested by various members of the party. These were the permutations, the options. Number one, should we continue with the fight it rescue our party and evict imposters from our headquarters at Najanankumbi? That was number. Reconcile with the imposters on condition that they voluntarily vacate party offices at Najanankumbi and denounce their nefarious conduct and scandals, and we have to add that after cleansing the press of the whatever they did there. 3, The bona fide members of FDC who are still committed to the struggle to push back the junta constitute themselves into a new formation which would entail dissolving the FDC party. 4. Continue advancing the struggle under a framework of a social movement akin to the reform agenda and forget all about the divisive party politics. This too would entail the dissolution of FDC and not forming a new party. The last one was join other existing political parties or acquire one which is dormant or in abeyance. Those were proposals. After thrashing out all those issues, members of the National Council unanimously resolved that wide consultations be conducted with the party structures countrywide within a period of 3 months. Accordingly, a program was drawn for structured engagements on regional basis. The delegates conference, which had been hitherto scheduled to take place on 19th March 2024, was accordingly postponed. The consultation process. Consultation with the party founding members. The National Executive Committee consulted the founder members of the party at a meeting convened in Namugongo on 23rd October 2023, who appreciated the efforts that had hitherto been undertaken to address the crisis bedeviling the party. The thrust of their concern and recommendation was that the interim leadership of the party should explore all available options to reinvigorate the spirit and ideals espoused and agreed upon at Bonita on 7th August 2004. They emphasized the dire need to jealously regard the sanctity of the party constitution and the pedigree painstakingly built out of sacrifices and the blood of many forefathers and other Ugandans. Nationwide consultations on the way forward. The National Council of 21st February this year considered the party president's report and resolved that the 5 optional pathways be presented to the wider party leadership across the country for consideration so as to build a broader national consensus on the way forward. The national consultations kicked in earnest on 11th March 2024 with the Kampala and Wakiso district structures at a meeting held in Chireka, Chira municipality. That inaugural meeting again was organized by Honorable Semuju Ibrahim Nanda. Thank you very much. We proceeded to engage with the leaders from across all the sub-regions of the country, and below is the roadmap of the consultation tours. We have the regions and the dates we visited you when you made your own submissions. You recall very well. You cross-check. Fast forward on page 9. Inasmuch as these engagements were intended to solicit views of members of the party in the structures, in some areas, open public meetings were conducted to further advance the message of the struggle. Mr. Chairman and honorable delegates, permit me to pause and extend a vote of thanks to our patriarch, Dr. Chiza, who made the sacrifices to ensure that these meetings are a success. He deserves a big clap. He attended and he guided each of the meetings in person. He never missed even a single meeting countrywide. Similar appreciation goes to all members of NEC who defied all odds that militated against us in conducting these meetings and held fort in my absence as I was announcing a grave health challenge that required a surgical operation in India and took place in April this year. And praise be to the Lord. Am I not firm enough today? The Lord is great. Of course, not forgetting all of you dear delegates and members of the party across the entire country who exhibited enthusiasm towards addressing the current debilitating situation. Clap for yourself. Members, you participated actively. You all that you deserve. Because of the hitherto unforeseen imponderables, the world consultation exercise took much longer than expected, thereby necessitating extension of the same. Inevitably, the delegates' conference had to be postponed once again. 2 other virtual National Council meetings were accordingly convened by the National Chairman, the first one being held on 19th March 2024, which scheduled the delegates' conference at 2nd August 2024, and the second one held on the 26th of July 2024, which moved the delegates' conference to today, the 19th of August 2024. And I thank you very, very much for all these activities you did in ensuring that this succeeds. And allow me pause again and thank one person here who steered almost everything. My brother Kenneth from Kenneth Okero. Opoka, yes, Kenneth Opoka. Where is he? From Lukwago. He's been here on a daily basis. Thanks very, very much, Chairman Opoka. Thanks very, very much. The purpose of today's delegates conference and way forward. This congregation is required to process the proposals generated from the consultative engagements in 17 out of 20 regions regarding the trajectory of the liberation struggle. Let me repeat this. Today's congregation is required to process the proposals generated from the consultative engagements in 17 out of 20 sub-regions, those we have in our constitution, regarding the trajectory of the liberation struggle and the platform to advance the same. In concise terms, the theme of today's delegates conference is refocusing the forces of change to the struggle for freedom. Upon concluding the aforesaid consultations, NEC embarked on a gigantic exercise of synthesizing the views and proposals generated, and I have the honor to present a snapshot of our findings. Number 1, reconciliation. Rwenzori and Acholi sub-regions 2 mooted the proposal of making attempts at reconciliation with the Najana Nkumbi renegades, failure of which a new formation be established. New formation. Apart from the aforesaid 3 sub-regions, the rest of the regions that were consulted, there were 17, unanimously coalesced behind the idea of establishing a new political party and completely sever any relations with the Najana Nkumbi imposters. May I repeat this? Apart from the aforesaid 3 sub-regions, the rest of the regions that were consulted, the 17 regions, unanimously coalesced behind the idea of establishing a new political party and completely sever any relations with the Najana Nkumbi imposters. Now listen to the implications. This of necessity will entail dissolution of the Forum for Democratic Change. Whichever is born of women, this of necessity will entail dissolution of the Forum for Democratic Change under Article 36 of the party constitution, which provides thus. A, the National Delegates Conference or the Special Conference may dissolve the party by 2/3 majority of all delegates of the National Delegates Conference and transfer the assets and the liabilities of the party. There must be a notice of at least 6 months. There must be a resolution from 2/3 of the district conferences. The resolution must be supported by at least 80% of the attendance of the delegates conference. Upon considering the aforesaid proposals, NEG hereby presents before you, the honorable delegates, the following recommendations for consideration by this delegates conference going forward. Number 1, we ask you to adopt this report. It's your decision. 2, that the process of dissolving the Forum for Democratic Change political party should commence in accordance with the provisions of Article 36 of the FDC Constitution. 3. Initiate the process of forming a new political party and or coalescing with any other viable formation that is in existence. 4. That the tenure of the current leadership of the FDC be extended and be charged with the duty of pursuing the processes in 1, in 2, and 3 above. That is what we are asking you to do. It's up to you to take a decision one way or the other. As I conclude, I would like to formally bring to the attention of this delegates conference a lamentably grave concern regarding some of our colleagues whom I would want to call the Kisumu 36, who would ordinarily be with us this morning, but regrettably are languishing in Chitalia and Luzira prisons over trumped-up charges of terrorism. As part of our continuous political mentorship program, 35 leaders of the party traveled to Kisumu, Kenya, on the 23rd of June 2024 through the designated border points and were cleared by the immigration departments of Uganda and Kenya for a week-long training at Ugweri Catholic Pastoral Community Center. Unfortunately, they were violently abducted from their hotel rooms together with a refugee, Mr. Simon Rutarondwa, hosted by the Kenya government in the wee hours of 24th June 2024, shortly after their arrival. They were tortured, their property, to wit computers, telephones, and other personal effects confiscated. They were illegally removed from Kenya and charged with terrorism without any due process or passing through the immigration protocols. On the 6th of October 2024, we petitioned the High Commission of Kenya in Uganda in a communication referenced that one, registering the party's displeasure over the sale. This grotesque operation constituted an affront to not only the Bill of Rights, but also the national laws governing extradition and deportation. No, yes, the international laws, not national laws. The international law governing extradition and deportation and all aspects, and in all aspects, this amounted to a crime of torture indictable under Article 5 of the Rome Statute. As a sovereign state and senior partner of the East African community, it was a great breach of trust for the Kenyan government and the Kenyan people to allow Ugandan security operatives to commit crime on the citizens of Uganda and whisk them away under their watch, much against the international law principle of pacta sunt servanda in relation to extradition laws of both countries and the East African Treaty, because we are free to move within the region unfettered. We expressed our deep concern and sought responses as to whether Kenya government was aware of this abduction, whether the impunity of the Ugandan state security operatives in Kenya, as demonstrated by the kidnap of the FDC leaders and the blatant abuse of their rights sanctioned by the Kenyan government. Is Uganda declared a Kenya hostile neighbor with terrorist training camps from which Uganda government has chosen to operate willy-nilly? Our party leaders were deported. We want to know whether our party leaders were deported or extradited by the Kenyan authorities, which have said did not conform or comply to the international laws and standards. And finally, is Kenya safe for visitors, tourism, or business? We wanted to get answers to all those questions. Unfortunately, as we speak today, we are yet to get any response. Very unfortunate. For the record, the full list of the Kisumu 36 is here under. Yes, they were mentioned by the Honorable Salam Musumba, but because of the significance of this matter, allow me to read the list again. Sam Makoha, Simon Rutarondwa, that is the refugee, who is Museveni Rubarondesa, Edward Nachilinge Wasaja, Dennis Nono Owachigu, Grace Narunkuma, Florence Laram, Denmark, Adios Beinomugisha, Ronald Muhinda, Henry Mpungu, Ronald Sosi, Owen Ayimbisiwe, Simon Peter Nsubuga, Adam Wakabi, Conrad Kimonge, Henry Buyondo, Fairuzi Ngobi, Robert Owamani, Arthur Kugumisiriza, and Sarah Apare. Our dear comrades are still held as political prisoners, and the state prosecution on the last appearance, which was apparently telling the court that they were not in a hurry to finalize the investigations, since they had a latitude of time of 6 months within which to do so. The court was accordingly adjourned to 26th August 2024. Members, I invite you, whoever can make it on that day, let us storm court to secure freedom and liberties of our colleagues. 26th, keep it in your diary. However, I am pleased to inform you that their spirits are solid, indomitable, and they are ever chanting, "We shall overcome, we shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I believe we shall overcome someday." Honorable Commander, forces, you should teach me more about, and I suggest we should make it our anthem. One of these days we should discuss this. Ingrid, you clap for her. She's a real fighter, and she has commanded all the forces. In the same vein, the team who are here, thanks very much. Bayan Trinawe. Where is Bayan Trinawe? Thanks that from day one, he has been pursuing that matter. That one is a son to Honorable Ingrid Trinawe, and he's doing wonders in that area. We are mentoring him. He's very good. He's very promising. We thank you for the commitment. In the same vein, I wish to salute our gallant leaders and members who have stood solidarity with our forces Sum 36 by way of contributing towards their welfare, both in prison and some of their loved ones. You can continue with that generosity to keep our the families of our comrades strong and surviving. I also recognize the efforts of those members who faced the wrath of the state machinery in the course of delivering the protesting note to the Kenyan High Commission, and ended up being remanded for 2 nights on a ridiculous charge of being a nuisance. These ones were led by Dr. Kamara. The way they pushed Dr. Kamara as if we were pushing an elephant. Very, very unfortunate. An elephant is Enjojo. He looked like a real Jojo as they were pushing him. And the charge of nuisance and either disorder, you know the way they are treating it these days. Anyway, we shall have time to discuss that. All these protests, whoever they arrest, either disorder, nuisance. If you hold a placard like this, Anita must resign, that you are either disorder. Anita Mongo must resign, you are a nuisance. Now, who is a nuisance between these gallant Ugandans and Anita Mongo? I invite this delegates conference to deliberate on the possible mechanisms to be adopted to secure the release of our colleagues. Mr. Chairman and honorable members, allow me sum up my thanking by, Mr. Chairman and honorable members, allow me sum up by thanking every one of you for the immeasurable sacrifices and the contributions you continue to make towards the advancement of the liberation in the face of a harsh political and economic environment. I know even for you to assemble here, you have sacrificed a lot. Those who transported yourself, thank you very, very much. Those of you who spent the night here, you are hundreds. I have nothing to say, but you really demonstrated the commitment you have towards the liberation of the struggle. On behalf of NEC, I say asante sana to all of you. May God bless you. for God and my country.